Then we got two bigger issues to deal with it.
These are the bolts we're looking at. Yeah, I think that might be part of the problem right there.
All right, moment of truth. Oh, look at that, it's turning. Oh, I'm so happy. I don't know if you can tell there, but there's no threads left for the bolts went. Dylan just called me a little while ago. They're on their way out here, gonna help me diagnose the transmission problems, which might actually be tied to this hydraulic fitting. I don't know, we'll see. We're gonna slap it on there and go from there. All right, what does your manual say we need to do on checking on one of the clutches slipping? Because we don't think it's the main clutch to do, because the PTO's still turning fine.
Well, the first thing we need to do is, how long has it been since you checked the main pump screen, the sump screen?
That would be never. Okay. I didn't know there was a main pump screen. I have no owner's manual for this.
That will be the first thing we'll need to do. We'll need to run that left-hand tire up on the block where it pushes the oil to the side, and we don't have to drain the oil, and we'll pull that pump screen out. And that pump screen tells a lot of tales. It catches everything, you know, and if that screen is stopped up, it can cause crazy symptoms. You could have brake filings in there just where your brakes have wore. If there's any metallics in there, you know, metal shavings, it'll catch it. So that'll be the first thing I always check. I always start with simple things first, and that screen will tell a lot of tales.
I always got to remind myself, start with the simple stuff and not the complicated stuff.
Well, it's hard to do sometimes. Your mind always goes to the worst case scenario, or at least mine does.
And that's why I brought the 40 Series Expert out here.
I even got the t-shirt.
Yeah. All right, well, let me reposition my jack, and we'll check out that pump screen.
All right. Disclaimer though, I'm a quad range man. I have very limited experience on a power shift, but we got the tech manual to check it out and see what we can do.
Yeah, at least a little bit more familiar with that tech manual than I am.
Yeah, so maybe we can at least, we'll get that gauge on there and check all them pressures, and we can kind of narrow it down to what it'll be.
All right. Well, let me do the dirty work before we get it jacked up.
All right. So it's this little plug right here. You got a 1/2-inch ratchet fits it. And these things can be really easy to come out or really difficult.
I'll put 50 cents on which one it's going to be.
Well, being it's on your format, I'm going to say difficult.
You're supposed to bet the other way so one of us will win something.
A lot of it depends on how much crap is in it. You got lucky.
We didn't jack it up quite enough.
Well, you can't get it jacked up quite enough. You just... Alright, we'll get her out here in the light and see what we got.
Well, I got a little bit on the end, but I don't think that'd be enough to cause any flow issues.
No, it ain't no flow issues. We'll pull it out here. Look.
So I see some silicone where it looks like someone did a fix.
But we're looking for metallics.
Oh, there's a few flakes in there. I mean, there's some a little bit bigger stuff.
You got a little bit of brass in there, but
I ain't no telling how recent it is.
Yeah, I mean, it could be from, how long have you owned this tractor?
This would be, I believe, about my 5th year, maybe 6th.
You got a little brass, but I don't think it's major, because if it was major, you would have a whole lot of brass in there.
Yeah.
So let's get.
Well, what about clutch material? Would you that screen wouldn't?
No, it'll catch clutch material, brake material, but I'm not seeing any brake material. Your brakes don't make any noise, do they?
No, and I mean, you just touch them and they'll stop the
Whereas
tractor.
your brakes have probably been redone at some point, because this is fairly high tractor, isn't it?
About 11,500.
I mean, your brakes have been redone at that amount of hours. They would be noisy if they hadn't. So, all right, let's get this cleaned up and we'll stick back in there and get our pressure gauge.
All right, we got the tractor and oil warmed up. What are we doing now, Dylan?
We're looking for port C2 to put our gauge in.
We're just ignoring that bare wire and broken pressure switch right there above you.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's just a dummy switch, so it just sends a light on in the cloud and in the cloud. Turns the light on in the cab when you got low system pressure. There's your lube pressure. Let me see your book, Robert. Which it ain't particularly helpful that this is a 4440 and we got a 4640 book, but it should be the same principle.
Oh, ain't different. The horsepower, ain't it?
No, everything on the 4640 is way beefier. You wouldn't think it, but when you get a 4640 up beside this one, it's just night and day difference.
You gonna need a bucket?
No, I shouldn't. With it not running, shouldn't be a lot of pressure on this one. And watch me say that, and it spray oil everywhere.
I was hoping they had some of those snap-on test port fittings like the modern stuff. I got those fittings.
Well, they didn't go to those till they went to the 50 series. Alright, we're looking for a pressure of 175 to 195 at 2,000 RPM.
With it in park or driving?
With it in park. That's just your overall system lubrication.
About 135 to 145 PSI too low, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Well, my valve here on the wrong side of the damn truck.
Yeah, we get one more in there, we'll stack it up.
We are.
Say we was testing on the wrong side of the tractor.
See, that's why I said on these power shifts, there's absolutely nothing over here on this side on the quad range. Everything's done on the left-hand side, but yeah, but
Well, daggone, you had me excited. I thought we had diagnosed the problem that quick.
well, I had a brain fog.
All right, take two. Oh yeah. All right, supply pressure good, ain't it?
Yeah, you're on the low end of your pressure range, but you are within operating range. You can add some shims to bump that up. Like that's your problem.
Yeah, it did a lot more jerking than what I thought it was supposed to do. The next step in the book says to put in fourth gear, apply the brakes, and see if it stalls the engine out or if the tractor stops moving. And I ain't gonna say really either one of them happened.
Well, it ain't your torsional heifer. Now, I don't know what the hell's raising the racket in there.
Well, we did just change the filters and everything, but yeah, that they shouldn't be sounding like that. All right, right now he's gonna put it in 4th gear and hit the brake, see if it stalls the engine. Oh yeah, that's also the first time we've been able to drive that in the shop in 4 months. All right, see if it stalls the tractor, we'll hit the brakes. Well, it didn't kill the engine, but it did definitely load it down.
I made it slip one time.
What?
I made it slip one time.
Yeah, but it didn't slip as much as I thought it would. Maybe cause the oil not up to operating temperature.
But I made it slip one time. The engine, I don't know if you heard it, but the engine didn't cool down and the pressure just went.
Oh, so the pressure did drop.
Yeah. You want me to hold that camera in there on it?
If you want to. All right, we're going to try it ourselves here. For 4th gear. For 4th gear. Watch the pressure on the gauge here. I can't make it slip even in road gear and applying the brakes.
You know, all them bolts being in such the shape they were in,
Do you think that has something to do with it?
it ain't doing it no favors. I mean, before when you was running it, do you think you could have made it slip and forth like that?
If it was up at full operating temperature, yeah, I fully believe I could have. I know it's shifting too. Like it's shifting even harder in like 7th and 8th, and you know there ain't no rocking from the engine up there at all either.
You know, these 8-speed power shifts are notorious for being hard shifting, and if you find one that's shifts smooth, you may need to stay away from it.
I mean, it was shifting hard before.
But it's jerking.
Yeah, it's like I feel like the transmission gonna come out the bottom of it.
This is my semi-professional opinion. I get all them bolts back in there like it's supposed to be and just run it and try it. Because, I mean, I'm not sure how that dampener sits in there, but if all that, you know, them bolts being broken, that engine torqued like it is, that dampener in there might not have been making full contact like it's supposed to be.
So what exactly is the dampener there in the power shift?
The way I understand it, according to the tech manual, is when you shift it, it's supposed to like not over torque your transmission. It's supposed to, just what it says, provide a dampening effect.
Well, it ain't doing no dampening, that's for sure.
I'm just telling you what they said. Like I said, these John Deere power shifts are notorious for, but you feel like you're getting a lot firmer shifts now.
Yeah, especially like 7th and 8th. I mean, it was throwing it in there, whereas before I'd have to have it idle down, shift to 7, and it would go. Then you have to slowly increase your RPM. I mean, when I put the 7th now, I mean it's in there. Or maybe you're right. Maybe maybe all it was those bolts, and you know, just something not aligned quite right.
I guarantee you it wasn't doing it no favors.
Or maybe I just found a solution for actually dampening the power shift a little bit.
I'd seriously consider running it some before I dug any deeper.
I agree. I think that's what we'll do. We'll leave the blade off where we can watch these bolts.
Well, I imagine as long as I mean, I don't think you're gonna have any trouble out of your bolts as long as you ain't got the blade on there. Now it might be good to run it around a little while, drive it around, and retorque them.
Yeah, definitely. So I didn't put no Loctite on them because I don't know if they broke because they worked loose or they broke because of the blade or something else, but I know I don't want to try and dig a stud out of there that's got Loctite on it.
I've done it before. I don't know that it had Loctite on it, but I broke one of these out. But normally how they break is you probably won't have no issue with that, because the reason they break, they start that vibration going through that frame backs them out, and it's sitting here pushing against that blade frame, and it's trying to back that bolt out. And I mean, the bolt didn't have anywhere to go. So,
well, that's true. I didn't think about that, the blade frame being on the back side of them.
So that's a lot of the reason your bolts break. And
well, I'm really worried about these now because I've got 1 inch of threads in there that it's completely wallered out. So you got a longer distance between the head where it's supporting and where it's grabbing, and it's going to be more leverage on the bolt.
Putting them longer bolts in there is definitely going to help you. And and if something happens to those, I'll have to do some research. But I know they had an answer to it, because some of those tractors had smaller bolts right here than others. So a lot of it just depends on if your tractor already has the big bolts or if it's got the smaller ones.
Gotcha.
I mean, and that might not be it. You might get to using it and it may do it again, and if, at that point we'll dig deeper.
All right.
I guess my next question was, does it only do it when the PTO is engaged, or was it doing it all?
No, like put it like just going down the road. You put it in 7th, 8th, and you throw the coal to it. You know, something was slipping in there because it'd rev up and slowly speed up. So it wasn't just the PTO, but it's definitely most noticeable on the PTO. If you got a wing and some dirt or something, the tractor come to a stop while the PTO would keep on turning. It wouldn't even be enough torque to slip the slip clutch.
Well, a little bit I drove it, and watching you drive it, it wasn't giving up none.
It was pulling the engine down.
It wasn't giving up none. We actually stalled it out a couple of times.
Yeah.
But we can go out here and look on your blade, and I can show you, we can check a couple of things on it that'll really help with your bolt situation on your frame.
Gotcha. All right, now you're gonna tell me, look at this pin back here, make sure there ain't no slop in it.
We're gonna have to get a cart can out of it. I almost bet you $100 though your pin is full.
If you got slop there, that means all the pressure of the blade's gonna be up here on your frame rails.
What I like to do when I put these on here, I would put you I'd put your bracket back on the tractor first. When you put this thing back on the tractor, I would try to set that pole where there should be about a 1/2 inch gap between your blade frame and these posts.
Got you.
And what you want to do is when you pull it up and take that slack out of it, all the pressure is down here on your pole.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But definitely make sure that pin is not wore, and definitely make sure you got a gap here where all that pressure's down there on that push pole.
Got you.
And I had to, like I always tell people, I had to learn all this stuff the hard way, and I like for other people not to have the troubles I had.
Unlike my kids, I'm gonna listen to more experienced people than myself, and I'm not gonna learn things the hard way anymore.
Well, when you're young and full of vigor, you think you know it all.
All right, well, man, I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Whenever y'all get that combine in there and you're doing multiple things at once, holler at me, and me and Andy will come over and help you for a day or so on it. Return the favor.
We may have to call on you. We need some good backs. You got a good back?
Not at the moment. I'll try to make sure it's healed up and whenever you need me, though.
No, we're gonna let that forklift do all the heavy lifting best we can.
I got someone who gets in real tight spaces real easy, at least a lot easier than when we do. Yeah. Tell you what, it sure has been nice down here this afternoon with this door open, hasn't it?
Oh yeah. 10 times better.
I haven't seen that view in 4 months, and just in time for the warmer weather, the sweatier weather coming in. Anyway, we're getting I think we're a whole lot closer on this tractor. Hopefully about another half of a day, have this thing wrapped up. Still waiting on a couple parts to come in, but other than that, I think we got the big problems whooped. So hopefully tomorrow, got another storm system coming in, and hopefully we'll get this thing wrapped up and out of here. Not gonna get the blade back on, gonna do a little testing out before we put the blade back on. So, well, you wanna do the honors on seeing if she'll actually come down?
I hope she comes down.
She better come down.
It is a nice view, but it needs to close.
Ah, yeah. Shop work is gonna be so much easier now that we can actually like get things in both ends of the shop rather than one end.
Don't have to back in and back out anymore.
No more playing musical equipment. Well, I think we're about to get a doozy today. That's looking pretty mean. All right, we're gonna try and wrap this old beast up today. Don't like a whole lot much more to do to it. Think we got, cross my fingers, think we got transmission problems fixed by fixing the frame bolts. We got the hydraulic leak stopped, replace that fitting, got our hoses hooked back up. And all we got left to do is got a couple more frame rail bolts, got to manufacture the taper parts, get them back in there, retorque everything. And then Andy's working on putting us some new lights on here, replacing these old, I don't even think these are called halogen bulbs. These are too old to be halogen. We're going to replace them with some LEDs, see if we can brighten up the night work area a little bit. And it sounds like the rain probably going to get a little loud in here in a few minutes. Well, Andy just did his first electrical diagnosis and repair on this wiring harness. Got to pulling these out and noticed this one wasn't coming on at all. So got our wiring schematic down there and tracked it down, and there was a problem in this plug right here. One of the pins was pushed out.
Going down to the relays. It's a lot. Lots of hunting around in
a pretty tight space, hunting around too. So
you touch every wire and then they short out.
All right, go ahead and cut the switch on to make sure they're working. Yep, they both on. All right, well, let's pop two of these LEDs in and
see what they look
compare side to side. These lights right here are the ones we got. Dylan Joyce put me on to them. They're Tiger lights, but we actually picked these up from Shoop. So you got that series tractor and want to brighten up the night a little bit, go to shootparts.com and they'll be able to hook you up. All right, Andy, let's do a side-by-side. Let's let the viewers decide which ones are which. All right, 3, 2, 1. All right, which one y'all reckon is LEDs? Yeah, that's them over here. Woo! God, I need my sunglasses. Got spots in my vision now. And here's the old, well, not halogen style, but the old style. You're gonna be lighting up all of Jackson tonight, this fall when you're cutting stalks.
We're gonna be working all night long this time. Can see, never be nighttime.
I'm impressed. Look good. Let's get the other side done.
They're bright. They're super bright.
Yeah, don't look directly into the light. You might burn your cornea. And while Andy's working on the lights, I've been just working on a couple odds and ends, some oil leaks here, and put a bead of anaerobic gasket maker around that, way better than any gasket. And just been putting some of this front end back together, got those hoses to zip tie up, get them out of harm's way. It's all coming together now. All right, Andy, try out that other side. We'll see what she looks like.
Fingers crossed.
Woo! Do not stare straight into the light.
See if we got a difference between highs and lows. Low, high.
You can see a little bit of difference.
Oh, yeah,
It's blinding either way. It ought to ease the load on the alternator too.
yeah. It's pulling a lot less power now.
And we didn't even run the battery down, this is the light. right, well, I reckon that's about everything on the list that I had to do to the tractor. Everything's fixed. It's in as good a shape now as it's ever been. We just got to button up some side panels. I got a new screen ordered for the other side. It hadn't shown up yet. And I think we're going to leave our dozer frame rail off for a while. Just drive this thing around and then retorque all the bolts and everything before we get ready to button it back up for good. I think she's going to be ready for a full season of bush hogging. That's about all we use it for. Well, guys, I reckon that's going to do it for this video. One more thing checked off the list. We better drive in the field soon because we're running short on shop projects to do.
Knocking out everything too quick.
Yeah, I mean, we got just a couple of little details on the other equipment, but nothing major. This was, well, no, we do have one more major repair.
Two major. Oh.
But it's got to be sunny, and the wind's got to not be blowing for us to do that. But we'll get to it sometime this spring. It's going to be an outdoors project. Anyway, that's going to wrap up this video, guys. Appreciate y'all watching. I don't know what we're going to do next. It got to dry up. We'll bring you back with something here soon, though.